Hi, everybody. My name is Zeb Wellborn. I am president of the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. Today, I'm here with one of our members, Michael Anderson from Rockstars of Tomorrow. Michael came into our community probably about 5 years ago now, maybe a little bit longer. I'm not quite sure, and has kind of helped out with the chamber in a variety of different ways. He's helped out with our community in a variety of different ways. And really, what I'm hoping that we can do is kind of spread a spotlight on Michael's business, learn a little bit more about Rockstars of Tomorrow and how he was able to build the successful business in such a short amount of time. So, Michael, it's a pleasure having you for our chat today.
Thank you so much. I was actually looking very forward to this, so thanks for inviting me.
Good. So I kind of like one of the things I like to do at the chamber is kind of tell people stories about how they got into business, especially ones that are running businesses that seem to be doing pretty well, at least from an outsider's perspective. You started Tell us a little bit about how you started Rockstars of Tomorrow, the inspiration, and where you come from.
Yeah, for sure. So, I believe that all businesses, at least entrepreneurs and people who start their business always have a good story in the background. So, and it's always very interesting to learn. So I'm glad you asked this question. I was a musician, played music for a very long time, toured with different bands, got to do some pretty fun stuff, record great records and things like that. And when I turned about 40 years old, I realized that I didn't think the world wanted a 40-year-old rock star. So I wanted to kind of take my future into my own hands. I worked for a good 21 years, 20 years doing graphic design, marketing, printing with the same company. And while I was doing that, I decided to start teaching music at my house and giving lessons. Kind of an idea that we would, have the community take music lessons super close and get into, just go down the street basically and learn how to play guitar or piano. And anyway, started that in the house, and it actually took off very quickly, and got our home lessons up to about 150 students a week. Ended up bringing in about 3 to 5 instructors over about, I'd say 2 years we did that in, and ended up walking into my regular day job and just telling them that, you know what, I'm going to do this now. And a very scary moment, as it is for most entrepreneurs, to dive in 100%. So went ahead and did that, and then ended up getting our first brick and mortar studio that we opened up, which was, this all started, our first studio was in Norco that we ended up building, and grew that studio over about, up to about 300 students, maybe 350, and outgrew the space we were in. So then decided to go ahead and move into a much larger place. And it was at this time that I decided that maybe we're going to franchise this business. And I watched other businesses go from 0 to thousands of locations, and always found that very interesting. So ended up franchising the business, and sold our first franchise relatively immediately, and then opened up the next corporate studio, which was in Chino Hills. And today we have, right now, this all started franchising about 2015. So today we're at, we just sold our 6th studio, which will be our first out-of-state studio, which will be in Frisco, Texas. So we're very excited about this new adventure. It's going to open up a whole new doors of learning, and being able to operate a business that I'm not next door to. So
yeah, can you share a little bit about like the time frame between it? So you started doing it out of your house. How long did it take it to you to move into a live studio, and then the next phase? How long did it take for you to reach those phases?
So we started in my house in 2007, near the end of 2007, and by 2010, I would say 2011, we were in our first studio. So it may have been like 2011. We were in our first studio, building it up, building the business, and getting that student base in place. And then after we opened up our first brick and mortar, we outgrew that space and moved into a new place that was about almost 3 times the size, and which is where we're at right now. And that was probably, when we moved into that studio, I think it was around 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And we opened up Chino Hills in 2017, I want to say, was Chino Hills. And then we opened up Rancho Cucamonga in 15, 16, or 16, I would say, right around there was our first franchise. Chino Hills, we'll say 2017. And then we did, and then we opened up, after that was Laverne, which was 2000, 18, 19, and Riverside in 2019. And then Frisco, Texas, we just sold this last, during the pandemic, actually. So I'm
Uh-huh.
really excited about that. Was able to sell a franchise during the pandemic. So that was big news for us. And we just sold that one in May of this year, or so, just very recently. So they're under construction right now.
Cool. And I know from personal experience, in terms of starting a business and getting things going, it's not as easy as it sounds or as easy as it seems. And you seem to, you mentioned starting in 2007. How, in your journey, do you ever feel like you're like you, I don't say made it, but where you know that it's going in the right direction? Because there's all those doubts that creep in when you first start running a business, and then at some point I'm imagining that you're realizing that this is working, this is what I had envisioned. Did you have a moment like that? Is there?
Yeah, I was always, scared to death. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. That was definitely something that I wanted to be. I wanted to be a rock star first. That was my biggest drive and goal. But when I realized, more importantly, I want to take my future into my hands, there was definitely moments of fear, because it's that point where you're literally on the end of the diving board, and it's sink or swim with everything that you do. And I'll be honest, having a successful business and a successful run, while I can come up with great ideas and I can put things in place and massage them into doing what I want them to do, it all comes down to your team. And we have an incredible group of people that work with us. Chuck Jackson is, he came on board with me in the very beginning when I started this studio, and he's still with us today. And then bringing on specific instructors that have started in the house and are still with us. So I have team members that started in the house and are still working for us and watch this business grow. And I have instructors that are still with us, and we have students that are still with us. We have students going on over 10 years
Oh,
of
that's
learning how to
awesome.
do music with us. So yes, lots of fear, but yes, our business has always been fortunate to go in that direction, and it just comes down to the team and the hard work that's put in front of it.
Cool. And one of the things that I like about your business is that you do it a little bit differently. So, like, you give music lessons, and the way that you do it is a little bit unique compared with most other organizations or businesses that offer music lessons. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Absolutely. So we feel like we've reinvented the way you learn music. It used to be that you would go in and learn music, and you would start in a book, and it would just be very black and white. This is how you're going to play. In my eyes, I'm thinking that makes everybody like the same musician, And I know for me personally, which I'm sure is like everybody else out there, that when I wanted to play music, it was because I saw a certain group. For me, that was back in the long time ago when I saw a group called Kiss. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do this. And that's what got my wheels spinning. And it all comes down to being inspired. And when you're inspired, that's when you know that you can do anything and try and achieve anything. And being able to think about, that's why I wanted to play music. It wasn't because of a book. It wasn't because of how to read music. It wasn't because of any of these things. So there's many times where I will be in the studio, and I'll explain to a new family how we do things, and they'll be like, "Aren't you supposed to read music first?" I'll be like, "Says who?"
Uh-huh.
So let's get you all excited about it and let's play. So our methods are completely different from what a lot of people are doing. We believe in teaching you to play the music and the songs and the goals that you want to do. That way you're always motivated to keep going. And then we'll throw in the other technical stuff when you're ready. We're not going to start with that. We'll do it when you're ready. And then add on to that our performance classes. So we want to get you on stage performing live. To me, it's like playing or practicing with a football team or a baseball team and never playing a game. I don't see the point in that. So we don't do recitals. We do concerts. We build all of our studios with like theater areas with a stage. That way, then we can go ahead and practice and have you ready for that. And then, I mean, our students, I swear, are some of the best musicians out there. I watch it all the time, and I'm still to this day absolutely blown away.
Yeah, and then talk about the ambiance a little bit because that's unique too, in store and your actual locations.
Asking good questions, man. So the ambiance, I think, is the driving force that made me want to franchise our studio. Um, I feel like we look at all other music studios and go, what are they doing? Okay, we're going this way. We go the complete opposite. I don't even use music studios as the drive for what I want our studios to look like. When we opened up our first studio, keep in mind we were doing everything out of my living room. My wife and I walked into the new place when we got our first studio, and we just sat there going, okay, what are we going to make it look like? And it hit us, almost together, that we said, let's go ahead and make this look like the house. And so we designed the studio to have a house feel. And at the time, our house was pretty gothic looking, lots of dark colors and iron and reds and blacks and stuff like that. And so we went ahead and designed the studio to look like that. And what ended up happening was that became the palette for all of our studios. Now we have, inside of our franchise manual, of course, we have a full design guide, and all our studios follow this same look. And it's to me, our studios are that vision. When you say, I want to be a musician, it's that vision in your head that you picture yourself in. So when you get inspired enough to tell your parents or to want to pick up an instrument, it's not because you saw it in a book, and you're not seeing yourself in a white room with you and another person teaching you how to play Kumbaya. So you see yourself on a stage, lots of lights, cool environment, and that's what we did. Is we created these studios that deliver the dream. Most of these studios, or I should say all of these studios, are designed as if you were already a famous band, a musician. You're walking into an environment that just like your peers are, that your idols in music. So you kind of get that right off the bat. I feel like if you start taking lessons with us first, I feel like you're being spoiled. Mm-hmm. And it's not that way. It's not like that out there. It's a very different place.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then you mentioned that you get these kids doing concerts pretty early on, and you have been kind enough to have your students do some concerts with us at a lot of our chamber events, and they're phenomenal, by the way. What I wanted to ask is maybe some success stories. You have some students that have performed really well. What are some of your highlights of students you've worked with and things that they've gone on to do?
Oh man, so first of all, watching the students, come in never playing an instrument, and then years later watching them write a song, record a song, perform that song. Those are like just simple, immediate, joys. Like, wow, this is fantastic. There's a student out of our Chino Hill school that was on The Voice, which is great. There is another student out of our Norco studio who was picked up by Broadway, and he ended up doing a year playing in New York and traveling with their Broadway musical team, and now has his own show on Netflix. I should say his own show, but is on a show on Netflix in their second season. Which is great to see. We have just several students that are pushing really hard. I'm telling you right now, I would be in a band with half of these guys. I would gladly jump on stage and play with these guys. So, and successes come in so many different forms. They can be in absolute fame, or they could be just in, simply reaching the goals that you want to do. And you've seen a lot of these kids play through some of the events, and the talent is pretty amazing.
So one of the things I also appreciate is you came and kind of talked to us about how you built your business at the chamber as well. You came in and gave a very insightful presentation. Maybe what is as a piece of advice that you would give to people or yourself when you were first starting out, or businesses that are still working on building their business? What kind of advice would you give?
You come up with an idea. When you first start your business, you're very inspired. So you're driven right off the bat, and you want to go a million miles an hour and do everything. And I learned pretty quickly from a lot of guys close to me that, when you start a business or run a business, lots of people like to go straight for the dessert because it's fun, it's easy, and it's good. It's the meat and potatoes and the vegetables that nobody wants to eat. And I learned that you really need to focus on those things, because the other things just will automatically fall in place. If I was going to give some advice to business owners, I would definitely say accept change. Be ready to evolve and constantly reinvent yourself so you're always relevant. That is one of the biggest things. I see lots of businesses, especially right now in the middle of this pandemic that we're dealing with, that are struggling so hard to stay afloat. And what I'm afraid of is a lot of businesses kind of get submissive in these moments and just kind of give up. It's like, well, this is what I do, but you know what? And then you have the other businesses that are completely changing the way they do things and making it work. And right now is a true test of how to evolve. But you see some pretty big businesses that completely that are constantly getting better and better and doing things. And then you see other businesses that aren't. I mean, great example is why didn't Blockbuster Video become Netflix? Tell me, how did Skype not get all the business that Zoom has when they were the ones, in the forefront? So it just comes down to opportunity, situation, and really being ready to evolve. And I feel like with our business, we've constantly have never settled. It's like, okay, we're comfortable. Okay, change it, and let's kind of do it up. And that's what we're doing right now.
Good, and that brings up a good point. Is how are you guys altering your business due to the coronavirus? I imagine that doing those in-person lessons might be a little bit more challenging than it used to be. How have you guys adjusted?
Right. So very lucky that we can switch to a video platform like this and continue, to run our business. And trust me, I'm not saying that just because you evolve, you're going to survive or do anything like that. I get that if we were in a different business scape, like a restaurant or a bar, that things would be much different and harder to do. However, that doesn't change the mindset to try to evolve. We've been able to do all our lessons on video platform, and we made this switch really fast and really early. We caught this in the very beginning of March and already put everything in place, and we were ready to do video lessons before. So we were never playing catch up. We were always one step in front of it, I felt like. And that comes down to members of my team, bringing awareness to this at the same time. So everybody was very, very engaged. The biggest move that we made in all of this, because right now, live music is one of the businesses that is really taking a huge hit right now. And my business runs off of live performances and getting people on stage and playing. And so without that, it's like, okay, what do we do? How do we do this? So what we ended up doing, and we're doing right now, is we invested, a significant amount of money, and we converted our theater. We started with the one in Norco, but we converted it into a virtual live streaming concert stage. And now what that means is now we are offering our students the ability to perform live for their fans. This actually flattened the earth for them, because now they can perform for their relatives in other countries or on the other
Awesome.
states. So we have multiple cameras. We built a larger stage. We added a lot more lighting. We brought in video editing software that allows us to edit on the fly. And now we can bring a highly energetic live concert right into your living room. And we can do this not just with bands, but we can do this for meetings. We can do this for virtual presentations. I mean, you name it. You just gotta think outside the box. How can we apply this? It's absolutely incredible. We did our first one last week, and it went really, really well. And this Friday we're doing another one. It'll air live at 7:30 on all our Facebook pages, as well as probably many other pages that we're sharing this with. And it's every day is a new learning experience with this. And it seems like I've doubled down on this. But now we're getting our students on stage. We're bringing other musicians that don't even go to our school onto our stage and giving them the ability to perform. It's pretty amazing. I'm really, really excited about this.
Yeah, no, that sounds very exciting, and that's saying something that's spot on. That opens up, and one of the things that is interesting about this is that it is opening up our world substantially more than what it was prior to all of these Zoom meetings, because you can have people from all these different areas coming in, congregating together. You kind of mentioned something earlier about the meat and potatoes versus the dessert.
Mm-hmm.
What are some things that people might fall in the trap of, where they're looking for the dessert, or they're looking for, or explain that?
Yeah, so the dessert is the fun stuff, the easy stuff, the stuff that has an immediate impact on the business. So a lot of times that has to do with your core business. So for myself, the dessert would be, the live performances, or the marketing and the graphics and that kind of stuff. The vegetables would be the administrative stuff, the stuff in the background that nobody sees, the stuff that has nothing to do with the public's perception of the business, but everything to do with driving that business forward. So the numbers, the your statements, creating strategic plans, vision statements, or your goals, your 3-5 year plan and goals, all that kind of stuff. That's the hard stuff, and the stuff that you need to analyze constantly to see where you're at and if you're achieving your goals or if you're falling behind of those goals. You do all that stuff, everything else will fall in place. I speak a lot to different high schools and seniors about going out and doing, starting a business or just being successful in that sense. And one of the things that I like to harp on is everybody is very interested in fame, power, and money. Those are the three things. Those are the driving things that I see everybody. And so what I found and what I try to teach or educate on is, if your focus is one of those three, fame, power, and money, it's going to be really, really tough to achieve that. But if your focus is on hard work and drive, then those are all byproducts of that. So if you do hard work and you drive yourself and you just stay focused, vegetables, all that stuff, then trust me, the fame, the money, the power, that will all follow right in place, and it'll be right there. And then it's not a big deal for you, I should say. It's nice that you've achieved that, but when your focus, say, is money, it's very transparent, and your customers will see that. They'll see that what your focus is, and it's kind of ugly. So, but if your focus is hard work and making sure that your business model is providing and adding value, that's a big thing with my business. Add value no matter what. Make whatever we're doing better, and not take, but add. And when you can do stuff like that, those other three items will fall in place perfectly.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point. I don't know if you knew this or not, but I did a podcast for about it was a long time. I did 120 episodes or so, and it was called the Defining Success Podcast. So I interviewed people about success. And one of the things that always stuck with me from that was, in starting your business, that's what you think about when you start your business. I'm here to make money, and you do that. And one of the things that stuck with me, that he said, when I think of ways to make money, I fail. And when I think of ways to be of service to others, I make money. And so that was one of the things that has always stuck with me. So I've always and honestly, I feel like since then it just kind of flipped the switch for me, where instead of thinking about that, I'm just thinking of how can I help you? How can I be of assistance, and how can I support folks? And not saying by any means that I'm successful, but I do know that it's paid. It's like planting the seeds, I don't know if that makes sense, but
success does not happen by accident.
Yeah.
Completely planned. You have to position yourself to be successful, and you have to use the competition as one of your driving forces. There's a zillion other people out there better than you and driving harder and have better ideas and are in a better position to go beyond you. You can't let that stop you. You got to use that as a driving force to push you in front of them.
And then last question for you is I imagine a lot of our folks would want to know, you played professionally, you were a professional musician. You mentioned you toured with a lot of different artists. So maybe you can share a little bit about some of the folks that you used to work with.
Oh man. So I had a band for a very long time, good 10 years with, and some of you may remember, the group was called Jaded. The singers for that group, her and I actually started the band with her brother, was Tina Yothers, if you remember her from the TV show Family Ties. Incredible band. It was absolutely an awesome experience. Did that for about 10 years. Played, live on Howard Stern, Mark and Brian. Man, I mean, you name it, we've done those shows. Tina was or is a true professional and really, really delivers an incredible show. And it's kind of funny, in that particular band, people would come out because it was Tina and they'd want to laugh. They'd come out and say, "Oh, I can't believe this," and they would leave as a complete fan every time. So I did that for a long time. Good friend of mine played the touring guitar player for a group called Live back in the 90s. They had many records sold. He ended up being he was the singer's brother for that band. The singer was a pretty well-known musician. So we started a band together. We did a European tour, traveled the country playing quite a bit. A fantastic album. That group's called Adam and the Weight. It's on Spotify, iTunes, all that. It's a great record. It still is a great record. There's some guest cameo appearances on that record. So when you listen to it, you can hear some pretty cool stuff. And then I had a group for a while with the old bass player from Great White, which was Tony Montana, and him and I had a group called Anna's Brother, and a fantastic group as well. Got to play. We opened up for Black Crowes and Blues Traveler, and actually kind of funny, it was right after I left playing with the guy who played in Live, and we ended up opening up for them on that show too. Yeah. Kind of funny. So, and then, lots of records, played with lots of different people. Nothing, if any of these projects were super huge, I'd be doing that. But it's definitely, I've gotten to meet a lot of fantastic people, really, really learned a lot about the music business and what it takes to get to that level. And that's kind of what opened my eyes to want to give back to the next upcoming musicians, and hopefully we see these guys take it even further than I got to take it. That's truly the plan.
Well, awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much for sharing these insights with us. We're talking about how you've grown Rockstars of Tomorrow, and personally, I want to thank you for what you guys do to support your local community, the Chamber in particular. Anytime we have an event, we call you guys up to provide our entertainment for us. All the kids are fantastic, and so it's always a great thing for us to be able to not just highlight those students, but have them be active, proactive entertainers of the stuff that we do. So I want to thank you for doing that.
Thank you
as well.
so much. And if anybody out there is able to, check out rockstarsoftomorrow.com. You can learn more about what we do. You can learn more about our virtual program. Thank you so much, Zeb. I really appreciate this.
All right. Yeah. Hey, thank you, Michael. Have a great day.
You too. Take care.